What's happening, guys? This is James Blonde, this time with a first look at Forge, a once buy-to-play gone free-to-play third-person action combat arena battle style game from Dark Veil Games. The game recently went free-to-play on Steam after being out for about 3/4 of a year, and according to their official press release, the company decided to make the game free-to-play to boost the community, and seeing that the game is set up nicely for that business model already, why not give the community what they were asking for from the start? So this game is set up a lot like Panzer, or the recently closed down Warhammer Online Wrath of Heroes, where it uses the class-based mechanics of an action MMORPG, say like Neverwinter, and combines it with some third-person shooter elements set up in an arena-style map. It has about 5 or 6 different maps at the moment, with around 4 different game modes to play: Team Deathmatch, Capture the Relic, King of the Hill, and Ranked Arena. There are 7 different classes available in the game currently, each with pretty unique abilities, and each class has skills set up for various situations, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The first cool feature of the game is the detailed tutorial that first focuses on health and energy workings, controls, gameplay mechanics, blocking, and attacking. Then the tutorial gives you the option to go through the basic workings of each of the classes, minus the 2 newer ones, showing the class's individual skills and situations in which to use them effectively, or you can go straight to the practice arena and fight against the various classes in rotation and increasing difficulty. The practice arena is you versus AI, but you can set it up so that way you and another player or a friend team up in co-op deathmatch to practice against bots, and that can be pretty fun. Otherwise, when you go up against a hard difficulty Shaman and you're a Pathfinder, good luck trying to outdamage that guy's ability to heal himself. Anyway, so back to the gameplay mechanics and controls. You move with WASD, jump with the spacebar, and the tutorial teaches you how to wall jump to get to higher locations, and it's actually pretty easy to learn and very useful in all of the maps. You aim, use basic attack, and block with your mouse. Left click or 1 on your keyboard is your basic attack. Right click blocks, and your abilities are set up on 1 through 8. And some of them have secondary keys already set up in place, but the nice thing is that you can bind them to any key you'd like natively within the game. And after playing a couple of matches, I did feel as if I wasn't fast enough casting spells 6, 7, and 8, so I did set those up on my mouse for quicker access, and it made a huge difference. So in order to cast spells, you use energy, which replenishes automatically, but faster when you use your basic attack over and over again. Energy is used as you block, but blocking is a key part, which is pretty much the case for all of these games in this type, but this one particularly. Sprinting also consumes energy, of course, but in this game it uses a small amount at a time. And I definitely like that. It's not so much having to worry about energy when you're jumping, sprinting, and blocking, it's more of you focusing on how to use your energy effectively through spells. As far as the classes go, there are 7 to choose from currently: the Assassin, the Pathfinder, which is kind of an over-the-top ranger class, the Pyromancer, which is a ranged high-damage caster, the Shaman as a support healing class, and the Warden as a support tanky defender class. And there are 2 newer ones that aren't featured in the tutorial, the practice arena, the Ravager and the Tinker. The Ravager being a high mobility damage dealer with a grapple hook and sword. Each of the class plays a typical archetype for that class, except for the Pyromancer and the Ravager, I suppose. The Assassin uses stealth along with abilities focused around single targets like the Shadow Shift. When the Assassin uses this ability, it pulls the enemy into a shadow realm that basically singles out both of you, slowing the enemy down and speeding the Assassin up according to the amount of punctures are placed on the enemy. Each class, for the most part, has abilities that focus on single targets, like I mentioned before, abilities that stun, like the Assassin's Disoriented Strike, and skills that help with multiple targets, or at least help them escape, like the Assassin's Smoke Cloud that blinds enemies in an area, causing ranged attacks that actually pass through the cloud to miss, or like the Pyromancer's Wall of Flame that can be used to keep enemies back at a distance. The Assassin, the Warden, and the Shaman have abilities that work together or work with each other to increase damage or effectiveness, and these seem to work a lot like the passives do for champions in MOBA games. Like the Warden, for example, has abilities that increase the health and damage protection of nearby allies, but it does so based off the level of vengeance the Warden has already stacked that he's gained from using his other abilities, and the same thing goes for the Assassin and the punctures that I mentioned earlier. The more punctures placed, the more damage the other abilities do. But my favorite class overall is for sure the Pathfinder. He's got everything you can think a ranger class would have. He's got volley, poison shots that do damage over time, stealth, snares, and traps. The cool part about the stealth in this game is that it doesn't consume energy, and in the case of the Pathfinder, the only 2 requirements you have to essentially stay in stealth forever is don't take damage or move from where you are. With the assassin, you come out of stealth when you decide to attack, but your first attack out of stealth does bonus damage. It's pretty nice. The Pathfinder has this awesome feature about his stealth that is really fun to mess with. Once in stealth, you can actually cast the stealth ability again on an enemy. Granted, you can see them, then you can swap positions with them. Now, they don't take damage based on that act alone, but it can be used in all kinds of different ways. Like if you want to get somewhere high up instantly, or if you see someone low on health running for a health shrine, you can really mess them up by camo swapping them just after you lay down caltrops and an explosive trap. If they're low on health, then they're done. If not, then you can blind them with a blinding arrow, then use your basic attack to recover a little bit of energy, snare them with pinfoot, then finish them off with poison arrow and volley. Yeah, I really like the way the Pathfinder is set up. But that kind of goes along with the leveling aspect of the game. As you level up, you can get focus abilities that let you customize your class a little bit more to your liking. I didn't quite level enough to take advantage of this feature, but when you add a focus ability, it replaces the ability with a more buffed version of that ability. For example, on the Pathfinder, the default pinfoot fires an arrow at the target enemy, and it immobilizes and deals damage to the target enemy. Well, pinfoot with focus A applied instead deals damage initially and immobilizes the target enemy, then slows the target afterwards. The differences vary drastically with the various abilities. The problem, though, is that the game is unclear about the changes, and it seems to be a common theme throughout. And it's not that bad, but sometimes it'll show an ability that does X number of damage, and other times it just says that the ability does damage, like in the example I just mentioned for pinfoot. How much damage does the arrow initially do? And you have to go to the level up section just to get an idea of the base stats on each of the classes. But like I said, it's not super important because it never really poses a problem in-game as you get familiar with the various classes. So another thing progression does for you is as you progress through this tree, you gain armor points as well as customization points, and what these actually do is let you add attribute points to the 4 different types of armor by subtracting it from another type of armor. It's kind of strange, but it's a nice balanced system in that respect. It works the same with customization points. You might sacrifice a little bit of energy for armor or speed for energy, depending on what you want to do. But in the end, you need a point to do so. And once again, because the skill descriptions may or may not say what type of damage they do, it may be a little bit hard to determine what type of armor you want to put more points into or not. You can probably determine what type of damage each of the classes does by how it plays. The Pyromancer does magic and spiritual damage, Ravager does physical and maybe some magical damage. The game does seem to have a decent population since it went free to play. It's pretty quick to find a match when you join a server, and each game mode has its own server, but you can also randomize the game modes, and either way it seems to be pretty quick. But on the other hand, the game does have some team balancing issues, and the game is always trying to auto-balance the teams, and it's random. I was playing one Capture the Rune match, and I was helping my teammate who had captured the enemy room, and the game auto-balanced the teams, and it happened to automatically kill the player I was trying to protect to make someone switch teams. So not only did he die and drop the rune 30 feet from our base, he transferred to the losing team, and I picked up the rune, and I scored for our team when he did most of the work. So it's situations like that that can be a little problematic. Now, I can't say I really did like the map design and art style in this game. Each of the maps you play has a really different look and feel, and they're all extremely detailed. With the game's mechanics based around the Unreal 3 engine, there are very few invisible walls, and you can pretty much parkour everywhere on the map. Most of the maps give you a sense that they're absolutely huge, but at the same time, they seem to have areas for close quarter combat as well, and one particular map is very close quarters. The cash shop in the game is all based around cosmetic items and a few options for double XP boosts. The items you can pick up are the various pieces of cosmetic gear for each of the classes, like head armor or chest armor or leg armor, or the whole bundle set. But these pieces are set up similar to the cosmetic items and change in Path of Exile, but they're just purely cosmetic, and most can be bought with the in-game currency as well as real cash. I do think there's a small cap to the in-game currency, so you might actually want to spend it as you obtain it. Overall, the game has had a decent amount of time to become pretty well polished, and it does show despite a couple of the things that we mentioned earlier. The nice thing is that Dark Veil prepared the game beforehand to be ready for free-to-play, and that helped them out a lot, and I'm pretty sure that players who paid for the game prior received their fair share of rewards for supporting the game then. Now, the community seems to be building up since the game transitioned, and hopefully Dark Veil has positioned themselves to continue to appeal to the players with new game modes, classes, and, more sick-looking maps like they already have. But they should try to make a MOBA-style game mode. I don't know, lots of the other game companies have. Why not? It actually might be set up to work nicely. I don't know. All I can say is that if you're looking for a AAA quality PvP in a free-to-play title, Forge might just have what you're looking for. And like always, thanks for watching. If you're looking for more information about the game, head over to the detailed profile at MMOHUD.com. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it from me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.